back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me today is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
On April 5th, we saw that V posted to the BTS Twitter with a video that showed him basically dancing to a video for Postmodern Jukebox version of Closer by the Chainsmokers and Halsey. So it's a good song that I already know about, but
For those of you who are not familiar with Postmodern Jukebox, they kind of like put an old time spin on covers of modern songs. Generally.
Yeah. They were really
either
big,
40s or 30s or 60s.
They were really popular like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I think we've seen them in concert. So
yeah, and it's really fun what they do. They take like pop songs and it's like reinterpret them. But yeah, I had no idea that V was a fan of them or even heard of them, because that's like a really American kind of thing to do, is these remixes, or I guess it's really more like a rearrangement of
it's not
songs.
a remix. It's just a rearrangement, and they use different instruments and they just make it sound like it fits in the 30s or the 40s or the 50s or the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go past that. It's rarely 70s or 80s or whatever.
Yeah, but it's really...
But it's an interesting concept.
Really nice what they do, and like sometimes the song is like pretty good. It's like they really change a pop song or a rap song into something that's totally different, but it still sounds good. And basically the video was showing V at home, and he was like singing and dancing along with their version of Closer, and he captioned it, "Everyone, when you're bored, have a conversation with your television," and it's like hashtag stay at home challenge. So I thought that was a good lighthearted way to talk about the current crisis that's happening and remind people what they should be doing. So it looks like that's what BTS is doing. They're basically staying home, or maybe they're at their studio practicing. So I thought that was good, and also good that it was like a Halsey song to show their connection with her. And I saw that today the South Korean Ministry of Culture and Sports retweeted that, so they thought that was a good example of staying at home. Although I don't know if South Korea had to do it that much, because it sounded like they have all these other protocols where they don't necessarily have to have people not going to work and all that. So, but I guess that's good for the people that they are advising to stay home.
Correct.
I just saw an article about the judges from The Masked Singer were talking about which Korean celebrities they would want to invite to the show. So I don't know if you know what The Masked Singer is, but it's a show. It started in Korea, and they've used the concept in other countries now because it's gotten so popular.
Let's just be real. Ken Jeong stole this idea. And he got rich on it in America.
Yeah, I don't know how...
Although I'm sure that the original, like the people there are making money too, so it's not like they've been stolen from.
Whoever has the rights to it.
They also will make money. So
they
all make money. No one is sad that it's successful in America.
But
American success is good for the show in Korea as well.
But
it does kind of look like Ken Jeong just sort of glommed onto it and stole the idea.
He's why we have it in the U.S. And
but hey, all credit to him, because
that's smart.
I mean, not everybody just looks at a Korean show and says, "Oh yeah, we should make this American show," and then it's a massive success, right?
He's responsible for it being the U.S. and the U.K. because he's a judge on the U.K. Masked Singer too.
Right.
So originally Ken Jeong was on the Korean version of Masked Singer, which for some reason they call it King of Masked Singer. I don't know why, but he was one of the people wearing a mask and performing, and then people had to guess who that was. And I don't think anyone guessed him, but it was pretty funny. I think they did guess it was an American just because of how he was singing. That clip is definitely on YouTube if you want to go look it up. But yeah, Ken Jeong he was on the Korean Masked Singer, and then he brought it to the US and the UK. And then so just recently was the anniversary to the original Masked Singer, so they were asking all of the US judges like, oh, which Korean celebrity would you want to see on the show? And then Ken Jeong said Bong Joon-ho. So that makes sense. You know, that's probably the biggest, most popular person in Korea right now. I don't know if he can sing or not, but I guess. And I don't know if they were asking, like, who would you want as a guest judge or who would you want to be a performer wearing a mask. So I don't exactly know what they were asking.
Right.
But that's what Ken Jeong said. So that's a good answer. And then Nicole Scherzinger said that she would want to invite Jimin from BTS. So that's...
Oh, great answer.
That's why this is a story.
Well, I'm give all credit to her. She knew his name.
I'm amazed that she knew anybody from BTS.
She must be a BTS fan.
She must be like...
Otherwise, how would you know one of seven's name? Yeah. You would just know BTS if you're just like, oh, yeah.
Let me just name drop.
I know that BTS is popular.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you know a specific name, then...
If you know a name of somebody, that's... they're on your radar. And you name somebody who is one of the vocal lines, so then that would be somebody... Oh, of course, they would be a good singer on the show.
Right.
So I guess she was probably talking about as a performer. And I have to think that she probably saw, like something current of BTS, and it was like, oh, okay, that's who that is. That makes sense. They should be on The Masked Singer. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if they even asked the other judges, Robin Thicke and Jenny McCarthy, but they had no answer to that. They were just said, oh, happy anniversary to Masked Singer. Obviously, they couldn't name a Korean celebrity with a gun to their head.
Right.
That was funny. It's also, something to note that BTS, they have a history with The Masked Singer, so it's not totally out of the question.
Yes. Members of BTS have been on The Masked Singer. Although, I think that Masked Singers, a lot of people have been on Masked Singer Korea. Yeah.
It's reached all the groups in Korea. That's something you want to appear on. Like Wendy was on it just really recently. Wendy from Red Velvet.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. I mean, that has to be crazy if one of the biggest stars of your country is on this show.
Are they the biggest stars of... I guess they are, yeah. But it's a big show there. Yeah,
I'm saying, Wendy in Korea, that's probably a huge reveal.
But it's not as big here necessarily.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift will not be on The Masked Singer. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who is the biggest person so far who's been on it. I feel like they were most impressed with Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne. Yeah. They were like, what?
Yeah, as far as how many records he's sold and his stature in the industry, I would say Lil Wayne is definitely the largest actual recording artist who has been on it.
Yeah, that's what
and I think he went on it because, it was fun to sing. It probably was fun for him. Because normally he has to rap like Lil Wayne, right? Yeah. He can't do anything else because that's what makes him money. But he probably wants to sing sometime. He doesn't just want to, he has a musical bent to him. He's an artist. He likes other types of music.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume, right? I'm assuming that of all these people.
Well, that's just like Snoop Dogg. Remember he had an R&B album where he...
So I'm sure that Lil Wayne, he was like, I want to sing some... It was fun. It was fun.
Just do something different.
Yeah. He just don't want to be pigeonholed, even though to make money, you accept being pigeonholed, right? But that was probably the biggest artist, for sure. Huge shock, too.
On March 30th, James Corden aired a Late Late Show special, which was called Home Fest, and the purpose was to fundraise for...
I saw it. Yep.
Coronavirus charities.
I saw a little bit of it.
And one of the acts they invited was BTS, of course. And they performed Boy With Love, and then they had a short statement at the beginning to talk to fans and everybody. Mm-hmm. The concept of this special was that James Corden was going to, remote conference with multiple musicians, and then they were going to perform, and then that would be shown on a live stream or a taped thing. They wasn't really clear on that, but he got John Legend and Billie Eilish and Dua Lipa and a couple other people, and they all performed whatever their current song was. Mm-hmm. So BTS performed Boy With Love, and they all gathered together in Korea at the Big Hit studio and performed Boy With Love from their practice dance room. And I was kind of underwhelmed by that whole thing.
Oh, well, yeah, I could see how you would be.
because I mean it wasn't the normal level that we see from BTS, but I think I just get the feeling that they were kind of invited last minute and they didn't really have time to like brainstorm
last minute
something like really creative.
No, they weren't invited last minute. He would have invited them early.
I mean, I would if I was a fan of BTS, but I just don't know, because I think maybe they intended to make it more Western centric to begin with.
Right.
The only reason is because I think they can do better than that. Like, I just feel like it didn't have a lot of energy, and what they performed, it just looked like a kind of like practice, but not even like a full out practice. Because I've seen them have like way better dance practice videos than that.
Right.
And
they didn't give James Corden their best.
But I almost think
they don't owe him their best.
They were like told to be like, oh, this is casual. Just don't look like super, like this is a, national performance or anything. I kind of feel like they were just told that. Maybe they were even told which song to do, because I don't know if they would really pick Boy With Love.
Yeah, it's kind of old. They wouldn't.
I mean, they performed that like many times already on national outlets, and I just don't know if they would pick that song. Like maybe they would pick something else that they could perform while seated or something, but then make it better a little bit, or make it like slightly different. And I just feel like they didn't do anything different than they normally do, so that just makes me think that they weren't given a lot of time to plan this, or
maybe they just didn't care too much about it. Right.
That could possible. Be too. That could be too. But
I mean, the only comment that I have based on the James Corden thing, I do appreciate that James Corden, he had great production value with the camera, with the lighting and everything at his house. Like, it looked like a professional show, right? Whereas a lot of these other famous people who do a thing at their home, they just have, I don't know what did they just turn their laptop on and just have the camera from that? Like, come on.
It must have been.
We know that you work for a company that has millions of dollars to spend on production value. It can look professional. There's no need for it to look like just an average Joe on Zoom, right?
So I didn't watch the special live because there's no cable. So I just watched on James Corden's YouTube after the fact. But I can see why he invited BTS, because their performance video ended up getting 5 million views just for them doing Boy With Love, which, all of ARMY has seen many, many times. So I can see why they were invited to be part of his special. Right. And then I checked out all the other videos too, just to see a comparison of how many views. And just really quickly, John Legend performed a song, some new song he had that he played on the piano. It had 148,000 views, so that's like decent, but it's like not anywhere close to like 5 million views. So, and he's John Legend, who's like somebody who's like really popular. And at some point he had his wife Chrissy Teigen like wandered in and was whatever. I don't really like her, so, but she was like she was kind of pointless to the whole segment.
Her face is very wide.
But she wandered in and was like, "Oh, we're such a family." Is this still
talking about the home?
Yeah, that happened during his video. She just like wandered.
Well, I didn't watch that part of the video. I just watched the BTS part.
She came in the beginning of his and was like, "Oh, I don't know, banter, whatever," and then she showed up and then left, and then he did his song. Okay. And
whatever.
She was annoying.
Care
but
about
anyway,
John Legend.
I have no idea the order.
BTS has the most views, obviously.
I have no idea the order that this played in, but Billie Eilish and her brother Phineas played some song on piano, and I don't really know how many views that had because they didn't release an actual video for it. All I saw was like fans that had recorded it. So that's kind of weird. Like, why is there not an official video? Because then how am I going to judge how many views it got? Right. But I didn't really like the song. It was like some really slow song of hers that I don't like. And, well, I mean, I really don't like any of her songs, but especially not any of her slow songs. But so, yeah, I didn't think that performance was that good. And but I did like that James Corden had Dua Lipa on, and she sang "Don't Start Now," which I love that song, number one. And I was wondering how she would even perform that, because it's like a very like dancey song. So what she did was she sang it from her end, and then also all her backup dancers and singers, they were all on Zoom, and they had like all their separate little video footage of showing them doing their dance parts. So I thought that was a really good way to portray it, because it showed all the different parts of it, and they just, edit it all together, and it's like, oh, show some of them at this point, show Dua Lipa at other points, and
yeah, I saw that.
They did a really good job with that. So I feel like BTS could have done something like that, but it seems like they just didn't really have time to think of a different concept.
Are you saying that they were hamstrung or they were disadvantaged in some way?
I don't know if maybe they had the same amount of time, but I think to do things that BTS does, they need way more time.
Let's just put it that way.
I think they wanted to do it because it's like, we want to do this for James Corden because his producer is going to be the producer of the Grammys next year, so we don't want to say no, but at the same time we can't really, we don't have the time to think of some really creative thing to do.
Why should they think of some creative thing? Like their regular rote act, just the thing that they regularly do is already better. Like look at it this way. A lot of the other people, like John Legend, Dua Lipa, they just sat at their computer and they sang or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever. BTS actually got in a studio and they did a routine and they did dances, they did choreography. That's already more than an American artist, right?
That's true.
I mean, according to the standards of Korean artists, is it a lot? No, it's not. But look at what they're compared to. They did more technically, right?
Yeah. A lot of the other people on the James Corden special,
they just sort of sat there
and sang. They just stood there, or they were at a piano and sang. John Legend, I'm sure, has an IT person. He had 2 angles, so I think he had some help. There's no way he could set that up by himself.
It could have been a lot better. They intentionally made it worse to seem more relatable. I don't buy into it. So from my standpoint, I would just like the better production values.
It's hard to be a celebrity right now because you have to hit the right note.
Because you can't like look like, oh, look at me, but you want to be more relatable. But then if you're trying too hard to be relatable, like, oh, give me a break.
Yeah. No, there's an article I heard about that's out there that's talking about now is like literally the worst time to be a Hollywood celebrity.
Yeah. So I agree. I mean, I don't envy their position. It's hard because you want to walk that fine, very, very, very fine line between I'm relatable, I'm in this boat just like all of you, but at the same time you want to put out product that is good. You don't want to put out product that people just think, oh, that's garbage.
Yeah, and when you're in a video feed, people kind of want to see what your house looks like and what's around you. Like they're curious about that. So
they are.
Don't just be like in a back corner, like trying to act like you're hiding. It's like, oh, this is just a plain room. But then if you're in like a really nice room, then people are like, oh, okay, you're rich, you're privileged, you're this and that. So it's like, it's hard to find a balance there.
Right. So, it is what it is.
So April 1st came and went, April Fool's Day. Mm-hmm. And normally BTS pulls some April Fool's pranks, but this year they didn't do anything. I'm assuming because of, the global pandemic that's going on, they didn't feel like that was the right thing to do in the current climate. So they didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. But I remember some past ones, pranks that they did that were pretty funny. And last year in particular, I remember Jin changed the BTS Twitter to like all Jin pictures. And
so they've done April Fool's pranks in the past, yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing that normally everybody expects them to do. Like they'll change the Twitter to a whole different kind of theme.
Yeah, of course.
And there was a V Live last year where Suga and J-Hope said, yeah, we left BTS. We're going to, just break off the two of us and start our own thing. No one believed that, but it was pretty funny where they just pretended. Yeah. And this was like before the Map of the Soul Persona came out. And then it was like, oh, that album's going to come out. Well, good for them. Good for BTS. That's not us. So we're like, good for them, whatever. They didn't do anything this year. That's pretty understandable. I guess that could have been taken the wrong way. And I'm sure they got advice from Big Hit about probably don't do anything just in case anyone gets mad about it. So I think it was a wise move for BTS to not do any pranks because it could be taken the wrong way and then it would be a huge news story.
Yeah, better just do nothing.
Yeah. But there was somebody who had an April Fool's prank that kind of went wrong.
Hooray. Yes.
Someone named Jaejung from the group JYJ, he was telling people that he was hospitalized with coronavirus.
Right. But he wasn't.
No.
And it turned sideways on him.
He got in a lot of trouble for saying that.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a smart move, but I don't know that it warrants all this.
Yeah, were they talking about he needs to go to jail or something like that? What are people saying? I mean...
His company is punishing him, basically.
What did they do to him?
His upcoming appearances have been canceled.
Oh.
He was going to do a lot of promotions for his group.
Listen, it is pretty dumb and insensitive at the time, but honestly, it doesn't hurt. Does it? Well, who does it really hurt? I know that the people said, "Oh, you're contributing to, hysteria or friend." Guys, there's nothing that this one guy could say or do that would really substantially contribute to anybody's fear or hysteria over this thing. It's a serious thing. Everybody's going to be fearful or hysterical regardless, right? Yeah. So should he have done it? Probably not. But how much actual harm did it do? Also minimal. Let's be realistic. I don't think that whatever he did created much harm. So I'm not one of these people that's just going to jump on this bandwagon that he should be severely punished or anything. Oh, come on.
No, I don't think so.
I
mean, it's not like he's this like super A-list person and then it was like, front page of news or anything.
Right.
He's just kind of a minor K-pop idol.
And even if he were an A-list person, he did oh, come on.
It was just a prank.
Yeah. I don't think a person should be punished that much for this sort of thing. What amount of punishment except for social backlash should somebody receive for this kind of thing? I don't think any. People should be able to say, hey, you're an idiot. You shouldn't have done this. Oh, sure. Absolutely. People should be able to say that. But should you be fired? Should you lose your job? No, I don't think any of these things are true either. Whatever's happening to him right now is probably overkill. That's all I'm saying.
And at least he apologized. He said, this was wrong. I wasn't hospitalized.
I don't even think that he should even have to apologize. He just made a stupid April Fool's joke and it was ill-advised. What is the actual harm done by it? That's the question, right?
If an American celebrity did that, the most they would get is just a lot of comments, a lot of negative.
Okay, go ahead and comment negatively on
negative social media.
Feel free,
comments.
Absolutely. You go to his Twitter, say something bad about him. Absolutely.
But he's being punished by his company and everything.
Yeah, I don't think that's
a little much. It's like, he can't promote
I don't know.
His music that's out. It's like, come on, is that really necessary? Clearly he's sorry, or at least he's saying he's sorry, so we should accept that. And it's like, what else do you want? It's like he admitted he was wrong.
Yeah, what else do you want from this guy?
And then like not only is his company taking away some of his promotions, but he might also be being punished by like Korean CDC. It's like, how do they have
That's terrible.
the ability to do all that? It's
just a K-pop star?
Yeah, he's just a person that said something that wasn't true. Well, I don't know. I don't know their constitution, but I guess you can't say... You can't
say things that are false.
You can't spread false information is what it says. It's
okay.
Like, we're looking into the situation is what the
all right.
Korean CDC is saying. Like, okay.
Okay.
Jeez. Calm down, guys. You could just go and fight like the actual virus, not this celebrity that was just doing a prank. It's like those people that are just like trying to call the police if they see, there's gatherings of more than 10 people out there. It's like, don't be one of those people. Don't be like reporting on every little thing. It's like, people are trying to get by. They're just trying to like... Yeah. I mean, obviously it's not ideal if you're in a place that's like, okay, shelter in place.
Well, I mean,
don't gather.
lying about whether you got it or not, it's just, what harm does that actually cause? You could probably describe some sort of theoretical harm that it causes, but there's no tangible harm.
Yeah, all you can say is, people got some kind of emotion when they read that thing that wasn't true. He's not
even that big of a star.
Yeah, exactly. So it shouldn't have had that much impact.
Yeah.
So I think...
I don't know.
People need to calm down. I know everybody's like at a high anxiety right now, but it's like just kind of be more forgiving of everybody else.
Anyway, we forgive this guy.
Yeah, he's okay in my book.
Yeah,
it's okay. He apologized, and even if he didn't apologize, it's like, well, it's just an April Fool's prank. Right. So
I don't even care if he apologizes. Don't apologize. He has to. Korea, though.
Yeah, I'm sure he...
Right. But I don't need you to. Don't.
But yeah, that wasn't even like a great April Fool's joke. I mean, there's been better ones. Like, that's just such an obvious one. It's like, oh, everybody's talking about coronavirus, so let me just pretend I have it. So that's my prank. I mean, you've done some really good pranks in the past on people.
Oh, yeah.
Your friends that they've totally fallen for. And
thank you for mentioning that. So now I can talk about it. So one time, back when I was in college, okay, I was roommates with a guy who was like the president of an anime club or something. Oh, that is not even relevant. But anyway, the point is, he had a lot of stuff. He had like his anime collection. He had his expensive bike. He had a bunch of stuff. And then we liked to prank him. And then what we did one day was we made it look like the house was robbed. We emptied the whole house. Everybody cut all their classes for the day just to achieve this prank. That's how dedicated we were. You could say we're bad students. We probably were bad students. But I would just like to say that we were dedicated pranksters, okay? So anyway, we took the day off, cut classes, emptied the house. It was more work than you thought, because emptying the house means, it doesn't mean emptying it like just like throwing everything away. It means hiding it in key places so it looks like we were robbed and just looks like it was emptied out, right? And then we just waited, and then when he came home, he said, "Oh my God, we've been robbed."
You guys all came home like at the same time?
We came home at the same time. We just said we came home at the same time. Like we came home from class at the same time. That's the pretension that we...
Right. So you guys were doing this all day, but then maybe you like went outside and pretended
you
just
Right. We looked like, wow, is he coming back? And we just came back at the same time. It's like, hey, we all came back home at the same time, even though we don't really come home from class at the same time. So he should have known just from that something was up.
He should have known that you were just waiting for him.
Yeah, but he's an oblivious sort of guy, so he didn't. So me and the other two roommates, so there's like 4 people who lived there. 3 of us were in on it. He was not. And then we just said, "Oh my God, we've been robbed." He had the most stuff to lose, but we tried to like keep the act up like, "Oh, we're so angry, we've been robbed. Call the police. So-and-so, go and call the police." He's in on it, so he didn't actually call the police, of course.
It's like pretending to be on a cell phone.
Well, at some point we did tell him, "Hey, listen, it's just a prank. Don't worry. See, here's all your stuff. It's not stolen. It's
in this closet.
It's right here. We just pranked you. See? It was an elaborate prank." Well, he kind of sort of like fake laughed. I don't think he really liked it.
Well, he was probably relieved that his stuff wasn't actually stolen at the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess we could say that. Anyway, the point is, pranks are really good. I endorse pranks. So the guy who just said, "I have coronavirus" or whatever, it's like not a big so what? In fact, it just is so on the nose for me. I wouldn't have done it. Just for that reason. Of course, you would just say, "Oh, I have the coronavirus." That's such an obvious prank right now. I feel like
you would have
be more creative.
Been sniffed out right away.
My problem with it is it's not creative. It's not creative.
Yeah.
Be more creative.
That's what I want to see.
There was another, should I even talk about that? I once had a person who worked for me who had like a stalker. So she had a stalker, right? And this stalker professed his love to her. And we knew about the stalker. Like this person who really was obsessed with this employee of mine. And then one day I had somebody bring flowers and chocolates and stuff. Was it April Fool's Day or was it Valentine's? It was Valentine's Day. It was Valentine's Day. So I had somebody, no, I didn't even have somebody bring it. I just brought it myself. So I left it in the workplace and said, "Oh, so-and-so came and brought this for you." And then had flowers, chocolate, and a card. And the card said something like, "I love you" or something, and "I can't wait to see you later. I know where you live. I'll come pick you up at X and X time," right? And that really freaked her out because she didn't know that the stalker... Now, in fairness, he wasn't like a stalker. It was just like some creepy guy.
It was just a guy who was interested
in her. It was a creepy guy who showed interest in her. It was not a person who would legally be defined as a stalker in any sense. Like the state would not put a restraining order on this person. But she knew he was interested. She didn't like him. She thought he was a creeper. And so the note that we wrote said, "Oh, I'm going to show up at your house, blah, blah, blah. I know where it is, blah, blah, blah," right? And she was freaked out the whole shift. She was like, oh my God, is he coming? And she was calling her roommates and was like, did some of you tell him where I live? Blah, blah, blah. She was just freaked out. She was so unproductive that whole shift. It was amazing. It was so hilarious. And we would have to go back in the back room and laugh and laugh and laugh and just, hide that from her because, everybody was in on it except for her. And then finally at the end of the shift, I told her, hey, it's just a joke. He doesn't know where you live. He didn't bring this. I brought it.
It's just a prank.
Yeah. Go ahead and enjoy the flowers and the chocolate, but he didn't bring it. Don't worry. And then we all ate the chocolate. Because, well, I goddamn paid for it. So, of course, we're going to all eat it. But we all enjoyed that. Yeah. She wasn't that pissed off. She was just happy that her creepy stalker dude doesn't know where she lives.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just like, well, she's just relieved. Just like your roommate was relieved that none of this stuff was actually stolen.
Yeah, exactly. Relief. Exactly. That's how pranks work, man.
Like, oh, okay, this thing didn't...
They're not supposed to be for you. The one who was pranked...
didn't actually happen.
You're supposed to get screwed over. It's not supposed to be for you. It's supposed to be for everybody else. Their entertainment. And it was. Every time is a good time to joke about anything. That's just me.
If you believe in comedy, you should support...
You should totally support it. You should joke about whatever you want to joke about. If it lands, it lands. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
However, on April 3rd, there was confirmation of the first Korean celebrity to announce that they actually have coronavirus. It was someone named Yoon Hak, who's in the group Supernova, and his agency is SV Records. He tested positive for the virus.
That's fine.
And he's receiving treatment at a hospital in Seoul.
I bet you anything more have had it. But a lot of people who are getting it and they're asymptomatic, especially young, healthy people. I bet you a lot of the K-pop stars have gotten it. They're asymptomatic. A lot of the NBA people who've gotten it, we know they have it because they all get tested. But every single one of them has reported they're asymptomatic. K-pop stars are the same story.
They said almost all of the deaths are from patients who had a pre-existing condition. So, I think he felt like he had to announce it because he was at a hospital. So he thought
maybe he has some pre-existing
condition. He was seen and it would leak out. So he's like, well, maybe I should just announce it because I guess nobody wanted to be the first one to say, oh, I have it, who's famous in South Korea. There's probably others that aren't going to say until later on that they had it. But that's fine. I mean, it's like your medical status is like your private information.
Should be. A lot of people want to have it before it's all said and done. It's not going to be special.
Next story is an article you saw on CNN that you shared with me talking about the American producers and songwriters who work with the K-pop companies and groups. And I thought this was a really interesting story to read about because you think these producers would want to work with American artists, but maybe it just didn't work out that way, or they just had better luck with K-pop. But
well, just because you're American and you write music doesn't mean that some American artist wants to work with you.
Yeah. I mean, you would first try and see like who wants to work with me here, and maybe it didn't pan out too much. But a lot of these things in the music industry is like relationships. It's like, oh, you might get not included on things just because you're somebody new or not in the circle of people. So I do think if you're a producer of pop music or even like hip hop, you might not find a spot in American pop music because it's always like the same couple of producers that everybody uses.
Yeah.
And so I can see why you would maybe try with K-pop because that has a really good pop scene and use of hip hop. So I think that makes a lot of sense as being the next place to try. And it's like if you have a big hit, it's going to be huge. It's going to get a lot of views because there's a ton of K-pop fans. So I don't think it's necessarily like a step down from, oh, I work with all the, A-list American pop artists. No, I don't think
so. Well, so what is the summary of this article?
It's kind of a profile of a couple of the groups and who they work with and, what kind of songs we would know of theirs. So this first group is called The Stereotypes, and they seem to do a lot of work with SM artists. They're, it looks like a 4-person team of production and songwriting, and they're responsible for Red Velvet's Bad Boy, Boa's Kiss My Lips, Taemin's Press Your Number, Super Junior's Devil, and Jesse's Gucci. So out of those, I do know Red Velvet's Bad Boy.
Yeah.
That's a song that, everybody who likes like throwback R&B loves that song.
I mean, just for ease, we should probably just list all the songs that these people are responsible for. So there's other artists. Like here it says Melanie Fontana and Lindgren. They did Boy With Love on Euphoria, TXT's Crown, Everglow's Bon Bon Chocolat. So that's a lot of big hits that this particular songwriting group, they've produced.
Mm-hmm.
Becca Boom. Oh, she's done a lot of stuff. She's done Blackpink's Whistle, Do Do Do, Kill This Love, Icons Goodbye Road.
Oh, she did a lot of the really good Blackpink songs then.
Some girl named Chick did EXO's Overdose, Monster, Girls' Generation's Mr. Mr., Taeyeon's Y, Red Velvet's Red Dress, NCT's 127, Kick It. So basically the bottom line is there are a lot of Western producers that are working in K-pop. That's the main story. The details, you can read it in the article. It's on CNN. But if you're really into the details, you would probably know these things already. But the interesting thing is that these people bring a flavor that is obviously very Western. Like if you listen to some of these Blackpink songs, you don't even have to know. Just hearing them, they have a very Western sound. They sound like any sort of song you'd hear from a Western artist, right? There's a good reason for that. Like these people have Western influences, or sometimes they are just from America. Their songwriters and producers are American.
These songwriters are bringing... It seems like they're usually bringing a hip-hop flavor or a rap flavor to this K-pop group that normally doesn't have that much of it.
So the K-pop artists where they have a very K-pop sound, it's still Korean producers and writers, right? But a lot of these songs where it has a more Western sound, they're importing these producers and these writers. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a good thing. Of course it's a good thing. They're expanding their reach. This is part of what attracted me to K-pop, is that they had this sort of like sound, this sort of like vibe that's very Western. And I didn't know it at the time, but hey, here's an easy explanation. They have Western producers. They have Western songwriters. So that contributes to it. What that means, I don't think it means that much of anything. Music is a global thing, There's going to be cross-pollination, so... I don't think it's that huge of a deal, but it's very interesting to note, to say, hey, look, it is a global thing. That's all.
It is interesting how these songwriting and producing teams, they tend to stick with the same company. Sure, because of relationships. Like this, Stereotypes, they mainly produce songs for SM.
Mm-hmm.
And Melanie Fontana and Lindgren basically work with Big Hit. Like all their songs have to do with...
Yeah.
Well, I guess Big Hit and JYP is who they're working with.
And Becca Boom works with YG.
Yeah, she looks like YG. Those are all YG artists. Chick, that looks like SM and YG. Yeah, but out of those songs, of the Chick songs, I'm not really familiar with any of them except for Kick It, which that song just came out. So I guess she's open to whoever.
Well, yeah. I think the takeaway is that the music world is shrinking. I mean... And good, that's a good thing.
And it looks to me like all the groups that were named here are adding more hip-hop flavor to that group, except for Melanie Fontana and Lindgren. I feel like they're more pop-focused because their songs are, Boy With Love and Euphoria.
Right.
And Crown. So those are like really, really pop songs.
Oh, well. And interesting, their songs are the most popular, right? But, the thing is, we should be encouraged by this because good songwriting is good songwriting wherever. It's going to find an audience and it's going to find success and popularity, no matter where. They're not pigeonholed in, now you're just going to go write for K-pop artists. K-pop artists are just artists now.
Well, and
that's good, and that's good.
I think a lot of fans have the impression that K-pop artists, they're only using, the songwriters that are in-house and, the producers that are in-house, and it's only like a couple of groups that are, reaching out to outside.
Right. But there are outside groups that contribute.
Yeah, it seems like all the agencies are using American producers when they can and when it fits in.
Well, if they have good stuff and they have something to offer, then why not? Of course, they should.
I wonder if it's like really difficult to have like a language barrier, or if it's like,
they produce the music. They don't necessarily do the lyrics.
That's true.
Right.
Like I remember hearing a lot about, how Big Hit, they have to like change the lyrics. They have to change it to Korean and then change it some more because then it doesn't sound the same if you say it in Korean. And, there's a lot more processing involved, I think.
Right.
Because you could write something totally in English and then that doesn't translate well to Korean in the exact words.
That's true. The lyrics may be different. But that's not the most important part, let's be real. The most important part is writing the music. And they do that. They're the producers, so they write the music. So, when you listen to Boy With Love, it was an American producer, right? When you listen to On, it was an American producer. Mm-hmm. But you could probably figure that just from the sound.
Yeah.
Like you could guess that. Just listen to it. So that's good. And you know what? I think at the end of the day, that's really positive for K-pop because they're just more integrated into just the global music scene. They're not their own siloed music thing, right?
Yeah.
It's better for them to be part of everything else. So I don't view this as a negative at all. I think it's wholly positive.
Well, there was one thing that both Chick and the Stereotypes were saying, that there's a difference between American artists, they want repetition in their music, and K-pop artists want more complicated melodies and things in their music. And they seem to think it goes back to like the Korean War and how they, first heard American jazz music, and then that's why they want to like K-pop wants to integrate more of that kind of a sound. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it goes that far back, but that's what a couple of these U.S. producers seem to think. They think the influence is really there from.
Well, I'm not going to argue with them, but I'm not sure that it goes back to jazz or anything like that.
They really think American jazz music is a source for like K-pop today. It's like.
Okay, well, I'm not sure I agree with that.
This is like a music theory kind of
yes,
an essay.
I'm not sure that I agree with that. Here's what I think. And this is, if you're a K-pop fan, you know what we're talking about here. Here's what we're talking about. You listen to a song, right? It's like 4 different songs when you listen to one song.
Yeah.
There's the R&B part, the pop part, the rap portion, and they just like smash all of these different types of genres into one song. Like all genres must be represented in this one song.
Well, in K-pop, they try to give every person their different focus. It's like, this is the rapper, this is the singer, this is this and that.
And the songwriters might interpret that as, I don't know, jazz. I don't think that has anything to do with jazz. I think it has to do with the pure economics of the K-pop industry, recognizing that, well, there's people who like rap, there's people who like pop, there's people, let's just give them all, let's just give all the people all of it, right?
Give everybody what they want.
I think it's a very bare bones business decision where they're just saying, hey, let's give everybody the sound that they want to hear. I don't think it has anything to do with jazz.
But there's a lot of songs out there that they don't really transition it that well. It's like, wow, that was an abrupt key change or whatever. And like sometimes you really notice
it. And I'm sorry if you're a fan, but a lot of Girls' Generation songs are really, really, really guilty of this. Like I cannot listen to a Girls' Generations. They're like 5 different songs in one song.
Yeah,
okay?
I don't like
They're
that.
like, oh, here's the pop part. Well, here's the rap part. Well, why are they the same song? They sound like very different songs in the same song. Please, could you just make them different songs? No. It's just a sell to the audience.
To me, the song that does that the most, I mean, I'm not an expert in all of K-pop, but Bang 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 does that.
Oh, I hate, yeah.
It has like very different parts.
Right.
All in the same song.
Right.
And I know
maybe you like some parts of that song.
It's a popular song.
But you also hate other parts of that song.
Yeah.
Because they're so different.
It's a popular song, but it's like some of the parts, it's like, wow, this is really like edgy rap. And then there's like singing. And then it's like.
And there's Girls' Generation songs that's just like that too. Like I Want a Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I Want a Boy. It's like, is it a rap song?
I only like one.
Parts of that sound like a rap song, right?
There's only like
parts of it sound like a pop song.
One part of that song I like, and then the rest of it's like, wait, that's a different song, basically.
Correct. Because they're very different songs. Is that good? Is that bad? Guys, just give us a song.
Just like
like one consistent song.
Like sometimes it's better to keep it simple.
I'm not even saying you keep it simple, but keep it consistent. It's not a consistent song. Not at all.
I do think certain songs, they just throw everything like in the kitchen sink in there.
Yeah. You have an album with multiple songs. You could just have a ballad and a rap.
Yeah.
And then a pop song. You could just have these different things.
Songs can be different. not within
your songs can be different.
One song.
Nobody's been demanding that all your songs in an album have to be the same. Can you just separate them by songs? No, they can't. And I think it's just a very sort of a utilitarian viewpoint about how to produce music.
In a way, I kind of understand, because what if that's your last hit, or what if that's your one shot? It's like this one song. Like some groups only have like,
I understand.
I got one song.
But some of these like SNSD, Girls' Generation songs, are like, this is not your last hit.
Yeah, that's
you were
true.
already the point is, there are a lot of songs that just have just a mishmash of things.
Yeah.
And people don't really, it's not great.
But yeah, like K-pop fans, they don't really question it. They're just like, wow, I love this song.
No, I think a lot of K-pop fans question it.
But it's like, wow, there's like 4 different kind of tempos in this one song. It's
yeah.
like, well,
I think a lot of K-pop fans do question it. What can they do? That's what they get. Bunch of different tempos.
But that's why I think if you're an American producer or songwriter and you're entering into a situation where you're working with a K-pop group, you might have a tougher time, because they have so many demands. It's like, well, we want a fast part, and then a slow part, and then a this part, and then this and that, and like they want you to fit all that.
No, I don't think you have a tough time. I just think you have some internal conflict, because you know it's not a good song. You know that it's not gonna like the totality of it. But at the same time, let's not be hypocrites, okay? Because what's one of the greatest songs in Western canon that we all consider a great song? Is it not Bohemian Rhapsody, which is like a 15-minute song that is like 10 different types of songs?
Yeah.
Have you ever, I mean, everybody has listened to Bohemian Rhapsody, right? It's like 10 different types of songs.
Yeah. You can't even say it's really a rock song. It's like,
yeah. So, is it a rock song? Is it an opera? What is it?
It's like opera and Broadway and rock.
Right. But everybody seems to love it.
And ballad singing.
Yeah. And it's like the sound is so different in different parts of it. Everyone says it's great. And it's way too long. So there's so many things wrong with it. And yet everyone says it's great. So if you like want to point to that exception, you could say, well, how's it different from Bohemian Rhapsody? Although at the same time, that is one of the very, very few exceptions, right?
Well, and even then, that producer tried to not release that song because he remember. Well, if you saw the movie,
the producer recognized that, hey, this song is stupid.
It's like, this song is way too long.
Why are we releasing such a long song that's like got different sounds? It's stupid. The fact that it got released in that state at all is just a miracle.
That's amazing.
And that people like it, fine. But it sounds like, listen, just think about that song, okay? It's like 3 different songs. Now, you may like all 3 of them, but you can't really justify them all being the same song, can you? There should probably be 3 different songs.
And it's hard to say when you're recording it. It's like, this is going to be like something that everybody thinks is genius. And it's all these different things in one. And you don't know if it's going to be that kind of song or not. You're just putting something out there and see what happens.
Right. And you know what? If you're recording a bunch of things that are like, it should be 3 different songs, it's probably garbage. Because the one time that worked and everybody acknowledged that, oh yeah, that's a genius song, was Bohemian Rhapsody. But that's one out of how many?
Yeah, there's probably a lot.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of other,
like that didn't turn out as well.
People just said, yeah, why is it a bunch of songs mashed up into one? And even today, you will get people like me who argue that, no, it still doesn't work. Just turn it on. Turn on Bohemian Rhapsody one day.
Yeah, really.
It doesn't sound like the same song.
Like, think about, what were they trying to do?
Well, yeah, what song is this? Seriously, what song is this?
Or what was the goal here?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's K-pop songs. They try to put many different things in the same song. Kind of like that. And
kind of like Bohemian Rhapsody.
Doesn't always work out.
Right. It's unfair to even compare it to Bohemian Rhapsody because that sort of implies that it's sort of 50-50 whether it would be successful or not. It's mostly not successful.
Probably worth a try, at least, record it in the studio, see what happens. Because the other thing is, you don't want to churn out like an album that has like 12 songs that all sound the same. Like, you want some experimentation. Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Castbox, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. New episodes weekly. Please comment, review, or rate in the podcast platform you're using. Follow us on Twitter @OurBTS. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.